Today's AskReddit post. What's the worst sex ed advice you received at school? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. I knew this genius at school from the football team who I once heard saying, yes, so if you finish inside a girl, try your hardest to pee in her. The acidity of pee will kill the sperm. Fortunately, we were in anatomy class and my teacher heard it too. She gave us a quick and actual sex ed class right there and then. We were told that a wet dream produced an amount of fluid tantamount to wetting the bed. They didn't even tell us what fluid it was. Okay, so I've always been confused by this. Are wet dreams orgasmic every time? You get to wake up to coming in your pants? Or is it different? And it's like you wake up going, huh, that's not jizz. What is that? And it's like the same thing as when girls squirt. And it's not quite pee, but something else? I'm so sorry, this sounds so dumb, but I have questions and I want answers. Edit. I am getting so many answers, thank you so much. I used to have wet dreams before I discovered masturbation. Yep, the orgasmic. But I didn't wake up. I slept straight through. Usually I would have a very vivid sex dream. I put sex in quotes because I didn't quite know the mechanics of sex, but these dreams were clearly sexual in nature. Anyway, I'd wake up in the morning and find some goo in my shorts. I didn't quite know exactly what it was, but I knew it was connected. I don't know why in sex ed they told us about semen. Told us to expect some fluid from wet dreams, but didn't tell us specifically that the wet dream fluid was semen. No idea why that was a bridge too far. I only had wet dreams maybe 2-3 times in my life. It was only after an orgasm that I woke up. This was before I knew the mechanics of sex, so I didn't really know the why or how of it. All I knew was that it was good, and every time I had the same dream, I was in a boxing ring completely nude and 2 women took turns boxing my dick like a speed bag. I don't know why or what that says about me. It was what it was, I guess. Edit. I'm glad y'all liked my story. If upvotes were boxing gloves, I'd come real hard. I myself distinctly remember 2 times. Once it was the 50-foot woman from the movie of said name. A movie old when I saw it. I fell into her cleavage and that did it. The second was a woman I knew in life picked me up and did a standing blow job. I don't think I could come up with those if I tried as an adult. The STD talk during my middle school's health class comprised of a vague video showing a paintbrush dipping into various paints, one after another, until there was a messy smear of colors everywhere. The advice was, verbatim, girls, don't let other people's paint get anywhere near you. Art class afterwards was real fun though. My school did this with Skittles. They gave each person a bunch of Skittles of one color. Then you were supposed to shake hands with 5 other kids and swap one Skittle when you did. So you end up with Skittles of various colors. Then at the end, they said handshaking was sex, and the Skittles are STDs. Yellow is HIV, red is gonorrhea, etc. They gave each Skittle a disease. Look how many STDs you have after having sex 5 times. Then we all ate the Skittles. Not sure where that fit into the mediocre analogy. The kid who started with all yellow goes home saying Mr. Green gave me HIV today. Mr. Green was my middle school gym teacher, and the gym teachers were also the sex ed teachers. When I was in middle school, an 8th grader told me that men have a set number of sperm, so if I masturbated too much I'd never have kids. Edit. Holy shit. This blew up. Thanks for all the happy cake days. Y'all. If that were true, I think most men would be infertile by their 20s, lol. It was unsolicited sex advice from a psych-tay. Don't go into dark alleys because you will end up having sex in there. With who? No freaking idea. Maybe the Weird Alley Sex Goblins. Weird Alley Sex Goblins. Sounds like an amazing band name. Isn't it an album by RHCP? Close. They have an unreleased track called Weird Alley Sex Goblins. In LA, I think it was Weird Cali Sex Goblins. I'm 24 and when I was a freshman in high school, my health teacher legit told us that women could get pregnant by just sleeping naked next to a man. She told us of her best friend who never had sex, but kissed and hugged a man naked and got pregnant. I mentioned my age because that kind of batshit crazy take on sex ed seemed outdated to us and it was relatively recent. It was a public school to BTW. Yeah, she would get naked just to kiss and hug. Seems like a legit story. If you have sex, you will get gonorrhea, and you will die. Guess I'll live a long life. Live long and prosper. Brother, I have come to slay you, brother. You have lived for too long. I love you too, brother. Wrap it twice. Just as nice. The condoms rub against one another and have a greater chance of breaking. One is fine. What you do is you put one on and then add hot sauce and then put on the other one. You will notice if one of them breaks. Or she will. Trust me, if she notices, you'll be the first one she notifies. She texted her mom first the last time this happened. Edit. My first award. I'm too excited. Thank you. Our teacher told us all the different types of sex. Oral, vaginal, anal. And some girl asked him if finger banging counted as sex. He said, no, it doesn't. The girl then proudly proclaimed that she was still a virgin. That was grade 5 folks. Like 11 years old? More like 10. Shit, my daughter is 8 and going into 3rd grade. This just gave me chills. As a guy, the only thing I learned from sex ed, and this was for all the boys to learn once the girls were separated, was that pregnancy can happen and this was an anatomically correct penis is. An anatomically correct penis? Were they trying to shame some poor kid? If you ask any questions I'm gonna assume your penis is wrong. I'm looking at you, Sarah. Sarah can't stop kicking with her 3rd leg. Sarah grew up to have a successful career in the Japanese pornography industry. I had no sex education, not from parents or school. Our school's excuse for sex ed was a 1-hour presentation where the girls and boys were separated. Girls were taught about periods, what an STD was and how pregnancy happens. Nothing about actual sex. Nothing about men's bodies. Nothing about safe sex. Nothing about birth control. I had never heard of a clitoris until I was 14. Thank God for the internet. Seriously, I don't know what I would have done. And that's the message that we deliver to little kids and expect them not to know what a woman's clitoris is. Well, of course they're gonna know what intercourse is by the time they hit 1st grade. They've got the Discovery Channel, don't they? We ain't nothing but mammals. Well, some of us cannibals who cut other people open like cantaloupes. I basically had the same sex ed they gave in Mean Girls. The whole condoms don't work. Pills don't guarantee 100%. So if you have sex, you will get pregnant. If you have sex, you'll get pregnant and die. You obviously didn't go to Catholic school. At Catholic school it's get pregnant, die, and burn in hell. And that's concentrated evil coming out the back of you. I heard Catholic girls are okay with concentrated evil coming in the back of them. When I was homeschooled, my mom told me that masturbating caused cancer because you'd be too aggressive to your ball sack due to the motion. I feel bad for my father now. That's ironic because it actually helps to prevent prostate cancer. Cancer free for 90 years. Keep fapping. You fabulous nonagenarian. You, I believe, have won the internet. The sex ed I had in school consisted entirely of a 20-minute video in 3rd or 4th grade that basically amounted to sometimes you'll pee your pants when you're asleep but it's not pee. This is normal, and in health class we had a unit on STDs. Not like how to prevent, treat them. But wow, this sucks. Look at all those rashes and hives you can get. So I'd say the worst sex ed advice I received at school was NA. Yeah, the sex ed I got at school was basically look at these horrific pictures of STDs. The only way to not get them is to not have sex. Me too. Just add in a victim blaming cautionary tale about a girl getting raped and then being punished with an STD. Oh, I got that story in church. Also, it was the girl's fault for not dressing modestly. I got it from my middle school health textbook. In my case, she was at fault for inviting her boyfriend over and not saying no correctly. The passage included a discussion question where we were supposed to talk about what the girl could have done differently. You guys got sex ed? Cries in Eastern Europe. Cries in private Christian school that I hated so much and am glad I got out this year. Edit. Well, duck me, how do you do the italics shit? Parents, remember the quickest way to raise an atheist is to send them to Catholic school. Imam, make this. Backhand index finger pointing up. Comment into a bumper sticker mayo. This isn't advice, but my sex ed teacher told us. Ejaculate is the whitest substance on earth. Edit. Wow, this really blew up, so I'll add some more detail. She was a relatively young teacher. I did argue with her, but she just told me to stop being difficult. I insisted she was wrong, but she said the textbook knew more than me. But being teenage boy at the time, I knew a thing or two about what ejaculate looks like. Your sex ed teacher's cum looks like whiteout. Time to use cum as whiteout. It's free. In primary school they decided to separate the boys and girls classes and show the boys the girls sex ed video and vice versa. Not a clue what was going on in their heads. We had ours in 5th grade. It made for a very uncomfortable few weeks after. When I was in 7th grade, my mom, who taught chemistry and biology in the high school, was drafted to fill in during a junior high bio teacher's maternity leave. That teacher usually taught health class sex ed to 7th graders. I wanted to die. Oh Jesus Christ. I can't even imagine. Any stories? Yes. I need an update. That sex isn't supposed to end until the lady's boobs start whistling. This sounds like something your older brother would come up with and tell you to duck with you. I convinced my sister the lanky wetlands birds like cranes and egrets gave live birth in the air and the chicks spread their wings in the free fall to dry them of placental fluid, and that is why she has never seen a nest. Mayo, I love how specific this is. They just come out completely independent for life. On a somewhat similar note, there are types of fish that give live births rather than laying eggs. I remember sitting and watching the fish tank once when I was a kid, and literally the baby just flew out of the mom while she was swimming around and then went around swimming like a whole ass functional fish, eating flakes and everything. Blew my mind. Edit. Live bearing fish, for anyone who's interested, includes the endless liverbora, guppy, platy, and molly. Some can actually interbreed with each other and create hybrids. Fact, if you have males and females, you will have millions of babies in no time. LOL. The lie developed from a very specific event. We were driving down a freeway that borders some wetlands area that is populated with great herons and snowy egrets. My little sister is in the back seat looking out the window and sees one on the side of the freeway and asks me why she has never seen a nest. Me, being an asshole older brother who would leverage her absolute trust in my word, spins this bullshit up on the spot. She must have been around 9 years old, and I added enough detail to make it plausible when checked against her 5th-ish grade knowledge of local biology. I mentioned that if they do not spread their wings and fly, that was simply natural selection, and if they survived anyway, they would have been a burden to the parents since their immobility put the rest of the family at risk from predators. She ate it up. Whomever was driving, mom or dad, just let this happen. I forgot about it almost immediately after saying it and didn't remember until she was like 15 telling a friend the same fact. I overheard and just started dying of laughter, at which point she concurrently saw the humor, but was pissed because she had been using that shit as a fun fact with her friends for years. Don't have sex or your penis will fall off. Flex tape fixes everything. To show you the power of flex tape, I sawed this dick in half. Damn it, now my dick hurts. That men had to be circumcised before having sex, or the foreskin would rip, leading to all kinds of infections, permanent injury, or even death. Edit. For all the unlucky enough men commenting about their frenulum ripping, that's not what I'm talking about. It sucks. It's incredibly painful, and it's a very real danger. But it is not what I was told was going to happen to my penis. This was an adult male science teacher telling a bunch of 11 and 12-year boys that if they tried to have sex without getting circumcised, that their foreskin was going to rip in half like a banana peel and they were either going to become impotent, get off gangrene of the dick, or bleed to death as a result. Edit 2. Thanks for the reward. It's my first one. Is that a little covered mask? That's cute. Thanks. I actually read a tifu about this happening, but OP was doing it in the ocean and a wave hit. It cost you nothing not to say this. Edit. Thank you kind stranger for the gold. Also a shout out to everyone who fixed my grammar. Couldn't have done it without you. Nothing not to say this. Quick, delete this so it looks like I never made the mistake. Mine was, at an all-girls school, every time you have sex with a man, you lose some of your special glue. If you lose all your special glue, no one will want to marry you. Seems like more sex would get you more special glue. B equals D. Droplets of water. I always knew BD was a wanker. There's the proof. 8 equals raised fist equals D. Droplets of water. I had a gym teacher say it's impossible to have sex with a woman if she didn't want to because the hole closes up if she doesn't want to. He went to jail for guess what? Tax fraud. That was my guess. I wonder where he hid all the money. Somewhere that can't be opened. We never really spoke about it, which I guess is worse. To be fair, my friend didn't get pregnant until after mandatory, when she was 16. It's mandatory for girls to get pregnant at 16. That's rough, buddy. Go to register for the selective cervix. Get out. Go to your room. I wish a measure old. Abstinence is the only way to get to heaven. Unless you are married. Total BS. There's a stairway you can buy. But how can you buy it if the stores are all closed? Prime delivery BBY. Condoms are worthless, so don't bother. This was at a public school in an abstinence-only state. The statistics they gave us were that condoms fail 16% of the time because there are tiny pores in them, and sometimes human sperm can swim through those pores. The HIV virus is 100% smaller than a human sperm, so how often do you think it can get through those pores? As an adult, I found out that these BS claims are based on lambskin condoms, which actually say right on the package that they are not recommended for the prevention of disease because they do, in fact, have microscopic pores in them. But like, I don't even know where you would get these condoms. All the ones I've ever seen in a store are latex, which has no pores, and are far from useless. Some people are allergic to latex. You have to get them from an actual pharmacy most of the time. There are other latex-free condoms that are not lambskin. Sometimes Mary wants a little lamb to join in. Men are completely incapable of controlling themselves. Made it sound to everyone that we had no control over our bodies, thoughts or actions, and that we spray urine and semen at everything that crosses our path. As a Muslim-raised girl, this one pisses me off. In some religions' cultures, they put an emphasis on covering up girls so they won't get raped. If you ask why, the answer is men can't control themselves. This is such a harmful mindset because men are viewed as primitive beings that have no control of their actions, and that if anything happens to a girl, it's her fault for provoking the man with her clothes actions. It's a shitty take all around that infuriated me to no end. Worse still, by covering up girls in this way, the only thing that happens is that unstable men will become even less in control of themselves than they would have been if they would have gotten used to actually seeing girls. I agree 100%. It's a vicious spiral of trying to restrict the women more and more while most men won't face the proper consequences of their actions. Everyone, no matter what sex, gender, can be accountable for their actions. Such behavior is mostly present because it is enabled and accepted, not because it's entirely an inherent part of their biology. Abstinence is the only 100% effective form of birth control. Well, no shit, but we're teenagers, and we're gonna duck. So you'd better start giving us some alternative. I mean, the guy was right though. I heard the anticonceptives are not 100% effective. It's a technically correct statement, but useless advice in practice. In driver's ed, they don't teach you that the only 100% effective way to avoid car accidents is to never get in a car. Because although technically the truth, it's ducking useless advice for teaching someone to drive. Technically the truth, pedestrians die in car accidents, and abstinent people can be assaulted. The advice is pointless either way. If you swallow semen at least once a week, you'll get better grades. He failed me anyway. Homeschool too? In HS, we were allowed to write down questions before the class started and they would be read without identifying us. My question was, will we be learning safe sex for gay lesbian relationships? My teacher looked uncomfortable and basically said no because the state guidelines wouldn't allow him to talk about those kind of relationships and only heterosexual relationships. Basically it was the worst advice cause we never got it. I asked questions about gay sex because I'm gay and teachers never read my questions. My grade 7 teacher even said my question was inappropriate. I had to learn about sex from porn. I'm heterosexual but I had friends in the class I knew were gay, knew it was something we as teens should know for our own safety. I'm in my late 20s now and it still ticks me off to think about. I'm open B and have 1 gay and 2 lesbian classmates. We had a pretty cool biology teacher who explained everything. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.